What's up, everybody? Welcome to Theory Unlocked, the Gamerz Theory podcast, where we dive deep into the games space, the industry, and every once in a while we get lucky and have guests with us. As always, I'm Drew. That's Michael Fisher over in the corner, and we are joined none other than Alec Robbins from Squanch Games to talk about High on Life 2 and a whole lot more. Alec, thank you for joining us, man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. So, for those who don't know who you are, why don't you give us a brief history of kind of where you came from, how you got into the industry, and what your position is as a narrative director?
Sure, yeah. I have always been making little indie games on the side my whole life. I started with RPG Maker back in the day and StarCraft's campaign editor. Like I was anything that had a level, Tony Hawk's level editor, like anything like that, I was just tinkering. So I've always been making games, but I've also always been pursuing comedy. So been doing comedy since like 2009. In stand-up, improv, online webcomics, every format possible. I'm a cartoonist as well, and I've worked in TV for a bit. That's what I was doing before video games. I worked on some shows like I Think You Should Leave, the Eric Andre Show, Comedy Bang Bang, a lot of like low budget alt comedy darlings, like stuff that I really love, but was not making a shitload of money at the time. So those were very weird, fun gigs where kind of anything could happen and everyone was doing every job possible on set. And I love that stuff, but I've always wanted to work in games, and I ended up having the opportunity to start working at Squanch Games around the time when they were first sort of germinating the idea of High on Life 1, and I came in as narrative director, coming from the world of comedy, coming from a perspective of there's not a lot of very funny video games, I would say. So it's always a challenge to try to figure out how to tackle that. There's plenty of games I think are very funny, but I think it's like definitely it's harder to pull off than your average video game. And so I love that challenge. Squanch is like one of the few companies in the industry that I think is essentially a comedy forward studio. Like it's part like I don't think we're gonna ever make a game that's not at least meant to be funny. And that's pretty rare in the industry. So for me, perfect fit. And I started on High on Life 1, and then High on Life 2. Yeah. We just finished that. I'm proud of it. It's out.
Yeah, how's that feel too now that it is out? It is out on Xbox, PlayStation 5, PC, coming to Switch in April, so you guys are pretty well be everywhere. It's on Game Pass, which I want to talk to you about that as well. I want to get into a little bit behind the scenes of that. But what does it feel like now that the game is out? Here it is. Everybody's been able to get hands onto it. We reviewed the game here, had a good time with it. How's that feel now? It's another set of accomplishments, right?
Yeah, big time. I mean, this one was even more ambitious than the first. And we pulled off basically everything I kind of was hoping we'd be able to do. We had like a meeting very early on where we outlined the game and a lot of our big fun ideas for it, stuff we didn't get to do in the first, stuff we really wanted to try in this one, like the boss fight that takes place in the menus, or the way that the game ends, which I won't spoil here.
Goodness.
And the murder mystery. We had all these like big swings that we weren't we were like, we're probably gonna cut like half of these, and we did them all. Like we really didn't steer the ship too far from the original vision. And so as far as like execution goes, I am proud of what we made. Like we pulled off a pretty big game for our team of like 80 people. And for we kind of hold our own. I'll say a little bit like among some of the more AAA titles. I think like if you didn't know for sure how big our team was, you'd probably think it was bigger than it was. I'm happy. I love our game.
That's all that matters. And we were talking to Sean Layton last week, Alec, and he said he wanted the return of 18 to 25 hour story games, which High on Life 2 basically perfectly hits. Is that like a golden ratio in the industry, or is that just coincidence that you guys kind of nailed exactly what Sean wanted to bring back?
I think that's so we really are dedicated to just doing like single player games. I think we're exploring multiplayer. We have a lot of big ideas, but like in an era of live service games and a lot of what do they call it, friend slop, a lot of multiplayer stuff. But like is constantly getting launched and then shut down within a year. It feels very unstable. Everything feels like it's trying to chase a big trend. And I really think most of us at Squanch are just like, we love a game that comes out. It's a full single player experience.
Yeah.
And, doesn't mean we're not going to add content to it. Doesn't mean we're not going to support the game. But, like, you get the game. It's out. You get the whole game. And I think, like, 18 hours, that sort of ballpark, that is I feel like most single player games tend to hit around there unless they're like an RPG, but if you're doing like a first person shooter campaign, I don't know what it is. We didn't aim for that number, but it is like the sweet spot. That's where everyone keeps landing. And it feels great. I think our game is paced like, you get some shooting, you get some downtime comedy, you get some more shooting, you get some puzzles. It's like that Half-Life 2 rhythm. That's what we really aim for.
Yeah. Like, so when you just talking about how it came to Game Pass, can you talk about the theories and the thoughts behind putting it on a Game Pass? Because essentially they're not really paying for the game now, right? From our perspective, when we just buy into Game Pass, you get Ultimate day one. Here's freaking High on Life 2. Why would you want to do that versus to go, you know what? It's on Xbox. Just buy the game for us.
I mean, it's a bit of both things where it's really helpful for a comedy game where it's something that some people aren't sure they're gonna like to be able to just jump in and try it. And when we put our first big like first person shooter comedy game out, High on Life 1, we were untested. Not everyone knew who we were. We had like a few games under our belt, but nothing that ambitious. And if you hear about a game where the guns are talking and making jokes the whole time, you're not sure if that's going to be for you. We get that. And so the first one dropping on Game Pass really meant, everyone could just try it out. And it hit. I think we got more people who were willing to just see if they liked it than just spend $60 on it at a drop. And they became, I think the people who liked it became fans of our studio and were willing to support us further down the road. And I think if people really like a game, I'm this way. Even if I play it for free, at some point down the road, I end up buying it. And, like, whether it's on sale later or whether I get a new system and I want to play it on my Switch or my Steam Deck, like I end up rebuying a lot of games that I played for free just because I want to support the studio, and it feels nice. So I trust that a lot of players will do that, but I'm also like very thrilled that people who might not have tried it are going to try it because of Game Pass. That's what it buys us.
Makes a lot of sense. Actually, it works really well that way, right? Because like you say, when people don't really know who Squanch Games is or what High in Life is all about, it opens up the door for opportunities. All of a sudden now you have somebody who was there on day one for High in Life 1 is now here and ready for High in Life 2, which
exactly
again is on Game
for
Pass.
A studio like ours. Like we're newer. I mean, I think if you're Rockstar Games, you're not gonna want to put Grand Theft Auto 6 on Game Pass, but if you're making Grand Theft Auto 1, maybe you do want to get some eyes on it.
No, for sure. Absolutely. You talked about High in Life.
We're gonna make Grand Theft Auto 1 now.
Oh yeah. That'd be awesome.
People forgot there already is one. We're just gonna make our own first one.
When the game does ship, and you say you hit on all points, no game ships perfect though, right?
No.
Was there anything you're like, okay, we need to do this?
We're not like hiding this. We launched a little buggier than we would have liked.
Sure.
And we've been putting a lot of work into making sure that we can like patch that game up and give some updates and help people out if they're having any bugs or blockers in the game. So like that's really just like a reality of it. We had to ship when we shipped. And there's plenty. I mean, like content wise, there's plenty of stuff that we are still excited to do that we'll probably have to save for another game or a different game entirely.
Okay.
That's always part of it. There are jokes that didn't quite land when we thought they would land, so we just cut those. There are things that we discovered on the way that were like, oh my god, this is so funny. Let's squeeze it in last minute. There are like an example of something we did like that was the skateboard tutorial. If you remember near the beginning of the game.
Yep.
It's a little live action video that pops up. And we had a joke at one point of Gene would just call you and tell you he's looking up tutorials on how to skateboard. And there was a placeholder that someone put in of an old PSA of like a real like skateboarding PSA. That was just from the 90s. And it was just playing wholesale. I'm like, well, we should make our own thing there. We should replace that. And that was literally me calling up my buddy John Milstein, who's another comedian. He's a real skater, and he does these really funny videos where he pretends he like puts on like a Home Depot shirt and walks around Home Depot and pretends to be an employee there, and he's apologizing for like some insane thing. And like Home Depot would like to apologize for our recent comments about gender neutral hammers, like something that is just ludicrous. But I'm like, okay, if you want to do a character like that for us, but he's a guy who runs a skateboard company, and you're just gonna teach your customers how to use skateboards. We went and shot that in a parking lot in like within 24 hours notice. I came back home, I edited it, and we put it in the game the next day, and that was like slammed in. So that's the sort of thing that we can really like work quick with.
Which is cool, being a small studio. It makes you versatile.
Yeah, and we are, because we're a comedy studio and because we're really trying to take big swings with the story and the gameplay and and basically every part of it. It's a lot of like, I mean, it's the improv thing. It's yes and like a lot of us are just going, wouldn't it be funny if we did this? And it's a lot of extra work, but someone on the team gets excited about it. Like we had this Frasier crane machine, which is one of my favorite jokes in the game. It's a claw machine, a crane machine, but it's Frasier themed. And one of our designers, Jerry Bellick, just pitched that joke at one point because we always do some Frasier Easter egg for some reason. And yeah, that's like a lot of work to execute that joke. We had to have our artist draw a big Frasier caricature. We had to figure out a system to create all these little Frasier plushies that you can then add to your bed in the game. The claw machine is a playable real claw machine. All of these things came together. That's a lot of work for a mini game that you're just going to look at and be like, those fuckers, and then walk past. But that's the extra magic. That's what makes our game special.
When you're working on a comedy game, Alec, how do you balance the what's funny now with versus what's going to be funny if someone buys High on Life 2 2 years from now, right? Is there that balance of like a joke may like 6-7, to go full slop on you, right? Like that would be funny now, but in 2 years, someone's gonna be like, well, that's not funny. So is there that balance of like we want it to be funny when it hits, but still funny if someone buys it in like 2028?
Absolutely. I mean, like you said, 6-7. Just saying it isn't a joke. There needs to be some hook there. So I mean, even right now, like I think if we could come up with something that made us laugh around 6-7, I would then evaluate it like, is this gonna make sense in 10 years? If no, then probably we'll just skip it. But if it makes us laugh in the moment, it's going in 99% of the time. There are things that maybe feel like actually that's too timely. There's a Jeffrey Epstein joke right at the beginning of the game, and the game is about like fighting an evil pharmaceutical company, and we started the story before the Luigi Mangione thing happened. So like there's things are going to be timely. They're going to come in and out. Like unless it's a joke that fully relies on you knowing what's happening this month and it'll be out of the news cycle next month. We probably won't do that. But everything else, if it stands on its own, it's fine.
You guys turned around this game pretty quick. Let's be honest, right? So you got High on Life 1 in 2019. You got High on Knife in 2023. And then 3 years later, we've got High on Life 2. How do you guys pull that off in a day and age where everything takes, 6-7 years to produce? Right?
That's good. That's good.
I'm hired. All right, I'm working for you, Squanch, in the next game for High on Life 3. How do you guys do that in such a short amount of time?
We shouldn't have done it that quick, but I think it's just we kind of looked at it. We looked at what funds we had. We looked at what funds we could raise to keep production going, and we just thought about how big of a game we could make on the time frame we knew we could work for. And I think we aimed bigger than we should have because the game is a little bit, it's bursting at its seams a little bit. We filled it with a little more than 3 years worth of game dev time should have been filled with. But we also knew that our team was excited and motivated, and we wanted to do it. Like there wasn't anything we wanted to leave on the cutting room floor. We're just like, we want to make that game. So 3 years is about how long this one took. And we grew our team. We were a little bigger than we were last time around, and we were very smart about that. We didn't get too big. We're We basically aim for a size that we want to stay at going forward, and see if like the game could be made at that speed. And we did it. I mean, it's like when it comes to the records and everything, like we don't give ourselves too much time with a 3-year span to go back and re-record too much. So we are throwing some Hail Marys with the script, like it essentially for the writing side of things. We have to have the game written. Let's say the game came out like last month. We had to be done with records by October-ish, I think, last year. And records took about 6 months. So like we started around April, May of the year prior. And that meant the game had to be mostly written by last May. It doesn't mean we're not still writing stuff and doing pickups and changing the script as we go, but like ideally before you start records for a game like this, you want it written. You don't want to be like in the because records are like I'm directing those that takes up, they could be 2 4-hour sessions a day, so that could be 8 hours a day that I'm in records talking with the actors and getting the performances we need. That doesn't leave me much time to get out of the records and rewrite things and check in with designers on what needs to be rewritten. But the game's just not going to be finished by then. So what we end up doing is we record what we can, we play it, we go back in and we say we have time for this many more records and this many rewrites, and we just kind of aim for the most important ones.
Yeah.
And it's a comedy game, so like it's really important to be able to record the voiceover, put it in the game, play it, see if it's working, and then make adjustments. We don't have that much time to do that. So
Yeah.
it's a testament to our team with a 3-year cycle that as much of the comedy hits as it does, because there's so much that we just popped in and we're like, oh, thank God. It's funny. Oh, thank God it's working.
I think you guys are a unique studio. I compare you guys to Double Fine with Tim Schafer and his team over there, because you guys
I
are
love them, yeah.
outside the box from what we're used to, right? Even when big titles hit, as much as Battlefield 6 did, last week we covered the fact that there's freaking layoffs from a big team that took 2025 by storm. You say you guys cap around 80 where you're at, you plan for that. How do you keep your team going now that High on Life 2 is done? What's next?
I can speak for myself. I'm not going to speak for even our company necessarily, but I do think that a lot of studios have a problem with hiring more than they need long term for projects that, it's like a Band-Aid. They overhire, and then when the project is done or when it doesn't do as well as they hoped, they just immediately downsize back. And I think that's, in my judgment, that's an irresponsible way to run a studio. I think there's something to be said for figuring out how much you could support a team of which size for how long, and making sure that you're going to keep things stable more so than just throwing manpower at it to put something out that you're not even 100% sure is going to work. So I think, from what I see about Squanch, that's kind of our angle. We're trying to make sure that we grow a team that we can stay with and work with, and we choose our projects based on what our team is capable of. I think this industry is in a really rocky spot right now.
Oh man,
it sucks. I'm really happy that our studio is stable and we're independent and we're not at risk of some bigger corporate entity just shuttering us at a whim. I feel for any studio who has to go through something like that. I think there's a lot of things that need to change and very easily could change, and I hope they do.
Sure.
And I hope that we can be some sort of model going forward. If things are working for us, I hope people can learn from that, and I hope we can learn from other people who are doing it right. It's bad. It's bad right now.
It's a horrible state right now. There's no doubt about it, right? Like every week we cover something on the Gamerz Theory website that there's another studio layoff, another studio layoff.
It feels like every week. I'm so numb to it now, but it's insane how often it happens.
Back in the old days, it was a matter of, okay, we're at crunch time, let's get everybody in, and then those people, okay, game's out, we're going to lay off. I almost feel like we're kind of retreating back into that state, right? There's very few studios, like you say. Yeah, like yours, where you hire and kind of lock it in and go, okay, now this is our team. There is nobody leaving. That's the idea, right? And
Yeah, and we had the
Nothing's safe.
post-COVID boom where like sales
Sure.
were up really high, and every studio was just hiring, because money was coming in. They wanted to make more stuff, and like when that bubble, it didn't really pop as so much as it just kind of started to go back to where it was a second ago, like
Yeah,
2019, and every studio seemed to get spooked and start just downsizing again.
for sure.
And I just switched over from the TV industry, and it's also in a really tight spot. Like entertainment across the board is just so fucked right now. I have so many friends in the TV industry who are either out of work or like working like 6 months out of the year, like just barely getting by because
Yeah.
productions are slowing down and shows are getting canceled and smaller episode orders. It's hell. It sucks.
Yeah. Michael, cheer us up, buddy. What do you got for us?
What's something funny? Give us something funny that's
Speaking
happening.
of something funny, I want to know, what do you think is your favorite joke from the game? Like, if you said you want to see something that makes you laugh, like if you're playing the game, replaying it, and you know, like this part's coming up, like I can't wait. Like, what is that moment in this game for you?
All right, so in the first game, my favorite joke was the bike guy, if you remember. He is a guy who asks you to watch his bike, and you agree. You kind of have to. You can just like say, all right, fine, I'll watch it. He's going to run away for a second, and you can look at a bicycle, and the second you look away, we coded it that the second it's out of your frame of view, we just delete the bike. So it immediately disappears. So you could stare at it for like, if you wanted to, for like 6 hours. The guy will never come back. But the second you turn away, it doesn't matter when, it's gone. And then he immediately comes back and goes, hey, where's my bike? So I've always loved that joke. I feel like that's a very video gamey joke that you can only do in a game. And it was inspired by, there's this extremely funny clip from a Sherlock Holmes game where for whatever reason, the designers of this game coded Watson. He's an NPC, but they coded him so that he just keeps appearing in a random spot. So if you ever like move away from where he is and you turn, he'll be in a new. It's like a ghost. It's like a horror game almost. Like he's like right in front of you. Like, whoa, what the fuck? But that always got me going. Like it's so fun. There's so much to gain from the ability to just like fuck with a player as soon as something's out of view. So we evolved that joke a little bit. There's a part 2 of that guy in this game. That I won't spoil, but something I will spoil is another amazing bit, which is this is kind of hidden. I don't know how many people have found this yet, but there is a comedy club in the game, and there's an advertisement. Where? It's in the hub. Okay, so you'll go find this later.
Fuck, I'm gonna look now. I didn't see that at all.
It's locked. Yeah, well, it's like I'm kind of mad we hit it so well because it's such a funny bit. I love it. But there's a comedy club with an ad for Jeff Dunham, which we did not get permission for. But it says he's performing at this comedy club. And if you come back later in the game and you go inside, the host of the comedy club sees you walking up with your talking guns and immediately goes, "Oh, Mr. Dunham, come with me."
Oh, man.
Because he assumes your guns are the puppets. And then you are forced to go on stage as Jeff Dunham and do some stand-up. And we wrote like 20 stand-up jokes that you get to pick a punchline from one of your guns. So you get to like pick a setup and then choose which gun gives the punchline, and it'll be different for every single player. There's like slightly different variations you can go through. I haven't seen everyone post the whole thing on YouTube yet, but I've seen some people find it. It's one of my favorite bits.
That actually agrees. Do you worry about that when you're writing a joke that the people aren't going to get to it, and you're like, man, this joke was really good, and then you never see a YouTube short about it? Do you ever worry about that, or you just say like, it's funny, we'll put it in there, someone's going to find it, we don't care if we don't get it posted somewhere?
That is our philosophy, actually. Like from like the comedy angle. It's a video game. It's not like a TV show. The thing you're getting out of this that you're not getting out of a show is like if you're watching, Family Guy, everyone is seeing the exact same jokes at the exact same time whenever they watch an episode.
Yeah.
For us, we call it opt-in comedy for most of it. Like if something's not hitting for you, you can walk away. And by that same token, if you are curious and investigating, you will find stuff that other players might have missed. And we write all of these jokes except for the main story stuff that like is going to happen during critical moments. But all the side jokes, even some of the like hidden stuff where there's multiple choices or you only trigger it if you stay around in a spot you're not supposed to be at for too long, We're okay with you missing all those, and it's funnier to me if you do stumble onto a joke that you are very aware only a few people are going to see, because then it makes it feel more special. It's really like, I think you're more likely to laugh at something when you are also thinking, wait, why did they put this in? Wait, they thought of this? Like I
Yeah.
sat here for 20 extra minutes and there's a whole bonus line for doing that. I feel like I might be the only person who did that. Then you're like you're feeling so generous towards the game. You're willing to laugh. You've been won over. I think that's like a big strength that games have over linear comedy, I call it. Like because I mean like the equivalent in a TV show I think would be like in Venture Brothers when they make a really arcane reference to something that you're like, wait, I thought I'm the only person in the world who knew about that. How did they make a joke about that? It's the same kind of feeling where you are just so won over, you can't believe that they pinpointed you. And that's something games could do just by hiding stuff a little bit.
Absolutely. One of the funniest parts for me, and it was early on in the game, when you had to draw your character.
Yes.
Absolutely
I
freaking
love that.
priceless. And then it came back around and I burst out laughing. I thought it was on point. Like, I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was one of those moments like, holy crap, they pulled this off later. I was like, I'm just drawing myself. I look like crap the entire time. My wife looks at me and goes, what are you doing? I said, this is what I'm told to do. I gotta draw myself. I look like shit. I come back later. I'm the wanted bounty. That's the picture they hold up. Freaking lost it, man. Absolutely
Thank
genius.
you.
How do
Yes.
you
No, I'm
guys
so happy you
develop
did that.
this? How do you guys go
Well,
about
that
developing
came
the
from
game now? Like, that's where I want to get into. Where do you guys start when you sit down? Okay, High on Life is done. High on Knife is finished. We're getting into round 2. Let's get into the sequel here. Where you sit around just a table and shoot the shit and say, hey, this is what we're going to do next. How does this work?
Yeah, we did do like a very preliminary like we all flew out because we're a remote studio, not
Yeah,
everyone's working in the same spot, but we all did one big like kind of week-long retreat sort of to
cool.
kind of shoot the shit, plan out the second game, and sort of go over our hopes for it and some stuff we really wanted to do, and also just to hash out like, well, what makes High on Life High on Life? What would a sequel need to still be High on Life, and what would it need to be surprising and warrant having made a whole new game? And I think we talked about like, okay, well, obviously the core of it is, there's talking guns. You're doing some sort of bounty hunting where you're hunting down targets and you're trying to save humans, and it's called High on Life, so it needs to be about drugs and humans being sold as drugs. But we didn't want to revisit the like drug cartel thing. We already kind of cleared that up. We didn't want to rewind the game and be like, "There's actually another group of aliens
Yeah.
who are selling humans on the black market." So, I mean, to me, I really wanted to sort of turn the camera around and be like, "Well, all right, you're a bounty hunter, but isn't that just kind of like, if you're a bounty hunter, aren't you kind of just like a rent-a-cop? You're kind of an arm of the law, and the law is not always on the side of the people." And so that led us to the angle of, well, okay, Big Pharma obviously
Yeah.
is very corrupt, and no one's a fan of Big Pharma. Really easy target, obviously, but it led us down a really interesting road where I think we got to explore some more meaty themes
Sure.
regarding like, hey, what if the bad guy was actually doing everything by the books? They were doing everything legally, and suddenly the only way to fight them is to become a criminal yourself. And it's raising all these questions about like, what is a criminal? Who gets to decide who a criminal is? And was what you were doing before actually kind of fucked up? And is this something that you needed to do to sort of move forward and figure out how to really be a hero? And I mean, those are all things I wanted to do narratively, and not everything I just described is funny, but it does give
Sure.
us a
Yeah.
baseline to build all the comedy around. We need that realistic, like believable theme to sort of build around.
I was curious about this, and I'm not going to say there's a third one, but if there's a third one, I think the same idea would apply. You guys have such a unique niche, as you said. You're like a comedy game, which doesn't happen. How do you make sure that High on Life 2, whatever comes after, follows that path but stands out, right? Like in movies, right? It's like we'll get a sequel and it's like it's just the same one with the same story and the same joke. So how do you guys make sure that like if I buy High on Life 2 and I've already played High on Life 1, I'm not just saying playing a reskin version, like and make it fresh?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I hope. that we're hitting both sectors. We want you to not feel like you're playing a completely different game. Like this game still has you selecting a boss from, you know, some sort of boss select screen and then going to a place where
Yeah.
they live and fight it, like going through a little story. They're almost like episodes, and then at the end you fight the boss, and along the way you get a new gun. Like that's the high on life formula. I assume a third game will continue to honor that in some way, but at the same time, like you said, you want it to be fresh. And so for this one, we were able to flip it and make you a criminal and the bad guys the good guys. But for the third game, you know, we have to revisit that again. Like we've exhausted two avenues. Is there a third that
Sure.
feels fresh? We've planted a lot of seeds for the third game. There are like some little hints. There's a big bad that we've been building up that you can find secrets for in the first and second game. Who, you know, we gotta cash that check eventually. So probably third game. But who knows? Who knows? And I mean, when we get there, we're gonna have to really think hard about what justifies a third game. What can we do that really stands out? What kind of new ideas? You know, like for this game, we thought, well, what if we had these talking guns? What if you had dual wielding pistols that were a married couple?
Dude,
That's
that
a
was
big, ambitious new idea. Like
it was cool. It was cool. I used them a lot actually. By
Me
the time
too,
I
yeah.
got both of them together, I'm like, oh, this is yeah, match made
They're
in heaven.
really good,
Yeah.
yeah. And they're played by Ken Marino and Gabrielle Sidibe. They're amazing. Like Ken Marino is one of the funniest people on the planet, and Gabrielle is like just she goes for it. Like she is so gung ho in the booth, and it's amazing. And like those are two of my favorite characters in the game. And
Yeah.
I mean, Travis kind of takes up the mantle of like the new main character almost as far as guns go, because he gets the biggest arc in the game where you meet him early on and he's going through some divorce trouble, and his story mirrors your parents' story and your family's storyline. They all learn a little bit from each other, and by the end, I feel like you'll feel Travis probably had the most growth as a character.
Yeah, without a doubt. Talk about the guns. We're already talking about them. Let's talk about the design
Yeah.
mechanic behind them, because you brought back Squeezy and we got Knifey, right? We got some returning stars, but then you implement new ones like the married couple that are start off bickering and then things evolve past, right? Like it's just so funny. How do you go about? Okay, we need new mechanics here. Let's bring in some new weapons.
Yeah, I think we were coming at it from the angle of like, okay, I'm going to let design cook on stuff that they want to try, and narrative is going to cook on stuff that they want to try, and then we'll see which things mesh.
Cool.
So we had, you know, an idea for a deadpan, serious assassin character who would kind of be like, because we wanted bigger, stranger personalities for the guns this time. We needed each one to have a comedic niche, and so like the guy who's very serious and talks like this is ready to just kill, and he loves violence. That stands out in comparison to like Gus and Sweezy, who are much more like laid
Yeah.
back and silly. And I think at one point that was maybe going to be a sniper rifle. It kind of made sense. We were building it around like, oh, a sniper rifle would be like a no nonsense
Yeah.
killer type. And it evolved into a battle rifle, and that became Sheath, and
Yep.
we just had this vision in our heads that Ralph Ineson would be the perfect voice, and we didn't think we would get him. And we went out, and he said yes, and he did an amazing job playing like this. I mean, he has the deepest voice in the world. And
Oh, yeah.
and he has comedy chops. I mean, he was on the original UK Office. Like, I think people probably know him more from The Witch now, and he was Galactus in Fantastic Four. But like, the guy understands comedy, and he's doing a lot of deadpan, played straight lines, but they're still funny. They're like,
Yeah.
they're meant to be funny, and he knew what to do. And so that's a one where it really meshed well together. Where, you know, we were looking for a sort of deadpan character, and that went hand in hand with something design really wanted to do, which was a battle rifle. And then, oh, Bowie's another one where it's
Yes.
like we really wanted to make a bow and arrow gun. We had a lot of ideas floating there. That character started off as, I mean, they are still in the story, kind of a Robin Hood type figure, but it started off as literally a Robin Hood character. Like they talked in like Old English, and they would have been a little more like hoity-toity and fare thee well, adventurer. Let us depart on our trip. And we went in a completely different direction with him because that just wasn't hitting for us. It felt too standard, maybe a little too Monty Python or something.
Sure.
And we
Yeah.
ended up going with a comedian I've worked with before, Frankie Quinones, worked with him on the Dress Up Gang, and he was in a show called This Fool. He's so funny, and he is so personable and likable, and we just brought him in as that guy, and it was the right angle. It was perfect.
No, it fit very well. Yeah, I love Bowie. The minute I got him, talk about Bowie's world
Yeah.
though, because that world is just so
Yes.
different in design, landscape, the whole thing from the rest of the game until you get to the end, which is just a bit of a mind fuck. But that's a whole different story. So, talk about the design philosophy there.
Yeah, we were kind of keeping this one a secret for a while because we were so excited about it. But now I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
This is a part where you go to a planet that the idea is that the planet has not evolved as quickly as other planets, and the way that that manifests in our game is that it looks like a PS1 game or something. It looks like a dated retro 3D platformer. It looks like Bubsy 3D. And so this whole planet, it's our like what would medieval be in a video game? Medieval would just be older graphics, and so everyone is kind of like it's like a fantasy planet. Um, and we had that idea, like I said, that meeting we talked about where we kind of hashed out the game. That was one of the first ideas. We're like, what if we did a planet where everyone looked like they were from a PS1 game? And I'll tell you this: making a game look older is actually more work than you think. So I think at the time we might have thought we were giving ourselves a gift, like it'll be easy. We could just make it look like shit.
Yeah.
But no, it's actually a lot of work. And I mean, yeah, it was fun. We have the boss has like this big Andros floating head look to him, like from Star Fox.
Yeah.
There's so much fun stuff we got to do there. We got Joe Pera to play Apples, who's this little character who kind of guides you through these Zelda 64 Lost Woods style maps. And then you find out something about him. But Joe Pera was so funny. I was really happy to work with him.
Michael, anybody else you got there? I see you spinning. Nothing.
I mean, I think nothing. I guess I want to go away from High on Life 2 just for a second, Alec.
Right,
what do you play? Do you play in your free time? I know you've got a bunch of web comics. I know you've got all that, but is there games you play in your free time that you just, what kind of gamer are you? I guess is really just the question. I want to get behind what you do besides just make games.
I play it all. I think my favorite genre is 2D platformers. Like that's what I'm best at. Like I've 100%ed like Meat Boy and Celeste.
Ooh.
Any of those like twitchy platformer games. I grew up on like Mega Man and Donkey Kong Country, and those are my bread and butter. But I will play anything. Like right now, I just played Pocopia. That was really good. That was like a very. I kind of needed a quiet baby game for the next after shipping a game. I needed something that could just like kind of turn my brain off and make me off my roommate or something. That was great. I loved. Like one of my favorite games ever is Final Fantasy Tactics, and they put out a great remake of that this year. Like honestly one of the best remakes I've seen. With voice acting, that game like had it's a perfect script, and it's kind of insane it didn't have voice acting until this year. It felt like a Shakespeare script has just been lying there for 20 years waiting for someone to read it. They did such a good job. I like the team who directed that, like the performers they got. I was stunned. And then oh yeah, I play fighting games. I'm big into Street Fighter 6 right now.
What's the cabinet behind you?
Oh, so okay, that's my brand. That was my like finishing the game purchase. I can't figure out which way to point in reverse. This was my like, okay, shipped a game, I'll make one big dumb purchase. There is a arcade store down the street from me here in Glendale, California, that I didn't know was there. It's literally like a 2-minute drive. And it's called the Vintage Arcade Superstore. And I kind of walked in there on a whim once I heard about it. And they have just a warehouse full of machines, and they flip on a switch and they all come on at the same time. It's not like an arcade, but it is like they have a show floor.
That's kind of cool.
And so they're like, go ahead, play whatever you want, and if you're interested in something, let's just talk. And I swear to God, like within a day, I had made a deal to buy one of these. They got me so bad. But I'll point my camera towards it a little more. This was a Street Fighter 2 cabinet that I then retrofitted to turn into a Capcom vs SNK2 cab. and I went ahead and replaced. It had a flat screen TV in there,
Okay.
but I swapped it out with a CRT. So now it's got like an old CRT. I've
man.
been doing it's been my hobby project, and it's loaded up with like 1,000 games now. So it's got like the whole
Nice.
arcade, like 201 or 1,001 Pandora's box thing in there.
That's
I love
cool.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're a big Street Fighter fan then?
Oh yeah. I'm not great at it, but I don't care. I'll play. I play online all the time, and I just get my ass handed to me. I'm getting better.
Oh, that's cool. How do you feel about Mortal Kombat? Is that your style? Is that just? I feel you're either in Mortal Kombat or you're a Street. Like I'm a Mortal Kombat guy. This is why I'm asking. Versus
Yeah, no, it's
one or the
really
other, right?
it's one or the other. Why
Yeah.
why is there never any crossover?
I don't-
I've never been a Mortal Kombat guy. Yeah, I've always been more of like I've been a Capcom guy because like I grew up with
Sure.
Mega Man and
Me too.
and all their
I'm
like
old.
Street Fighter and yeah. So I just exactly, yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
And for some reason I've just stayed loyal. I don't know why. I've just never really tried that much of Mortal Kombat. Even Tekken, I don't really do that much of. I like Street Fighter, and I love the SNK fighters like King of Fighters.
Yep.
I'm even worse at those, but
Yeah.
I love those. I think I just prefer the character designs in those. I think they're a little more my speed.
No, that's fair. Very fair. Very fair. I want to get back to Squanch Games and what's next. Now that the High on Life 2 is out, you guys are taking a break. What do you do now? You guys celebrate? Go have some dinner, or like what's up?
We are celebrating. We are enjoying. I think we had like we're kind of wrapping up right now our post-launch support. I mean, we're not gonna finish it. We're going to keep supporting the game, but
Yeah.
we are about to take a little studio break, and we're gonna do a big kind of like slightly belated launch party in Vegas. So
Oh,
I'm looking forward to
nice.
that. And after that, I'll keep my mouth shut. But I mean, we're figuring out what we're doing next. There are a few little ideas percolating, and there's one that I'm very hopeful we get to do, and I'm very excited about, but I can't say anything yet. But it's like an idea that's very near and dear to me, and if we are allowed to do it, that's the only hint I'll give. If we need permission from someone, and if we get it, then I will be very happy.
So it sounds like we're taking a spin-off here. It's taking a bit of a break from High on Life, perhaps. Perhaps.
Potentially. I can't say anything. We don't know.
Yeah. I know what you guys are working on. I played the game. Valve isn't going to do it. So you guys said, fuck it. We're making Half-Life 3.
I know.
There it is. You
It would be
confirmed
so it would be so funny to put out a game called Half-Life 3 and then get sued. Be like, oh, sorry, we did
Let's
it.
not do that.
Sorry. You weren't doing it.
Oh man, when I got
There's
to
no
that
law
part,
that says we can't make Half-Life 3.
it's just yeah, right? Oh my goodness. No, absolutely. Yeah, this has been a ton of fun. What are you hoping people get out of I was gonna say Half-Life. Now we're on the conversation.
What do they
right?
get out of I hope they love what happens to Gordon Freeman, and they get to see the continuing adventures of Alex Vance and Eli, and see what's going on with that neck of the woods. No, with High on Life, I hope you if you haven't played it yet, if you're not sure you'd like it, try it on Game Pass. Give it a go. I think I totally get it if it's not your bag, because it's comedy, and comedy is only
Sure.
going to hit for a certain type of person sometimes. But I think what we made is pretty special. I think we made something that not a lot of other studios are going to try to make. We have a unique situation where we can work with a lot of really funny comedian voice talent and designers who and artists who want to make the craziest thing possible.
Yeah.
We're constantly daring ourselves to do things in a game that we haven't seen done before. That's what I love about working at Squanch and what I love about our games. So if you're a little, I would say, bored with if you've been playing a bunch of games and they all kind of feel the same and you're seeing the same things over and over again, we might have something you're looking for.
That's very fair. Very fair. We talked briefly about the industry and where it's at. What do we do to solve this issue?
Let studios work. I don't know. Like to me, the number one thing seems to be a lot of parent company is closing smaller studios when they don't deliver on a project all of a sudden.
You
And
want to
it's
talk about Blue
like,
Point?
yeah, we can talk about Blue Point. We can talk about like
Like,
I mean, well, that's one of many. That's something where
exactly.
I think a good comparison point is Nintendo, who is, they're not like perfect, but
Sure.
one thing that they do really well is they nurture their talent, and they have studios that if they come out with a flop, they don't panic and close the studio. They recognize that that flop probably had there's something there that was worthwhile. It doesn't mean the game was bad. It means that they just need to keep working and that you're going to actually get better results by continuing to nurture a team that went through what might have been a failure in some ways because they're going to be able to learn from that and get stronger. And the next one won't have those same problems most likely. And if you just panic and close the studio, then you're going to end up with no studios and an industry that's in a very rocky place. And you're going to push people out of your industry because they're not going to have stable work anymore. People who are talented and have 20, 30 years in this industry are suddenly going to find themselves looking for work elsewhere because they just need something stable at this point in their life.
Yeah.
And by the time you realize you made that mistake, the industry might be decimated and hard to rebuild. You have to start from scratch. It's happening with the TV industry. Like,
Yeah.
people talking about how these shows on Netflix are lit poorly, and it's like, well, Netflix is not paying union rates and they're hiring like people who don't have 20 years experience lighting TV shows, and the people who do have that experience are being forced to change work and like change industries, and now you suddenly have an industry that doesn't have any of the tools and skill sets being handed down over generations that they had before. That's going to happen to games. That's my armchair analysis.
It makes a ton of sense from our perspective too, right? As we sit back and we talk about it, like we said, as we cover so many studios just closing, they're one thing after another. Blue Point was one of the, I think, the bigger shocks coming out of PlayStation to see them closed after the talent that they have.
Yeah, that's
there,
crazy.
right?
And that's something that like Nintendo would never do. The value in having a company like that who can do these sort of legacy big budget remakes, whether you like them or not, like just that's something to have in your pocket. You always have that studio there who has this niche specialty.
Yeah.
I mean, like I think Nintendo did the Ocarina of Time remake on the 3DS with Grezzo, and that was just a studio that Nintendo had that they would hand off remakes to. And I think over time, I think eventually Grezzo got to make their own Zelda game, like a brand new one, and that's what you get from that. Like if you keep nurturing a studio like that, eventually they're like, oh, actually, these guys have been doing this for like 15 years and they're really good at what they do, and they actually have a deep understanding of the games they've been remaking and would be perfect candidates to throw something new in the ring. Like there's trajectories for these places that you can, I don't know, instead of nipping them at the bud, let them grow. Take a loss. It's art. You're working in the art industry. Like it's not always about profits, and I'm guaranteeing you have enough money to spare to keep these studios alive. Like it's not. You're making snap decisions. You're treating entertainment industry, art industry, business decisions like you would like a non-art industry, like a computer chip factory. Like you're making choices that you don't need to make.
Definitely.
Sometimes a flop is actually good for the industry.
And for competitors. There are certain times where it just feels like it's all about the money. And like you say, less about the art, right? So I'm now, from my perspective, I'm a little concerned about Media Molecule because they are such an artistic focused studio. If they aren't able to produce what's next, and if you lose somebody like Blue Point, and then it just keeps coming down the line, right? I'm worried for them, to say the least. Hopefully they're able to pull off something creative, just like you guys can. Or maybe, is it best to stay independent, you think, now in this day and age?
Well, here's the thing, because if you're a gamer right now, you're probably noticing a lot of games are trying the same things. Like you're seeing a lot of live service games chasing trends that are. It's hard to tell what's different about High Guard from Concord from Fortnite from any of these games, and when they fail, you're not that surprised because you're seeing them going for what they consider the safe option. And the reason that is an issue is like if you're making games and you know that you are one flop away from a studio closure, you are not going to make risks. You are not going to try something exciting because you just need this game to do well. And
Yeah.
so if you're fostering a culture where every studio is terrified that unless they can match Fortnite's success, they're going to get closed, you're not going to get any new interesting ideas. And the only reason Squanch can try new things is because we are independent and we're not answering to anybody. We're not scared of being closed down. I mean, like, yes, if one of our games launches and doesn't sell very well, we would have to have very serious conversations about the future of the studio. But we are at least not worried about Microsoft being like, or anybody, sorry, not to call it Microsoft, any parent company.
Sure.
We love Microsoft, but anybody who
You're on Game Pass,
owns
so
us
relax.
potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Microsoft, sorry, I didn't mean to say anything. I meant to say Sony. I meant to say Sony. But no, just any company kind of hanging over you who their own whim might suddenly decide that what you're doing is not hitting the exact number they were hoping it would hit, and they close you down. Like, that's not in your hands. It's like you're completely at their whim, and you're just not going to be making interesting, good stuff. So it behooves the entire industry and the art form to let people feel comfortable and safe, and they don't right now.
Yeah, no, nobody's safe feeling that way anyways right now, right? The way just up in turmoil. But
one more question, Drew. I got a quick one, just a quick question, because you mentioned it earlier in the interview. I've been cooking on it because you were talking about this whole friend slop category, right? And those games kind of pop off because like a Twitch streamer will play it, right? And then his viewers see it. Is that ever in a comment? Maybe you're not in these conversations, but is the Twitch meta, as weird as it is to say that, ever something you guys consider? We're like, hey, if we make a game and maybe you reach out to them, or if somebody finds it funny, they're going to put it in front of 30,000 people. Is that ever something you worry about, like the Twitch meta? Because that's how some games just kind of explode because they get played on Twitch and then they explode. Is that something you guys ever worry about?
I mean, I think it can make or break some indie games. It's not something we're like,
or even think about, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, we think about it. I think you just have to in the industry right now. Like we are aware that the first game had a big TikTok like spotlight. Like I think we're a game with very shareable clips, little bite-sized jokes that are kind of insane. So people are like, "This game, did you know that you could do paperwork in this game for 6 hours, and then you get a fake ending?" Like, yeah, that's its own video on TikTok and Instagram, and it'll get shared around. We're very aware that we're conducive to that. We're not making it for that purpose, but we do understand that if we play to that a little bit, it'll probably behoove us. And same thing with Twitch. Like, I don't know if our game is the best for Twitch, because it's not like Fortnite where someone could just play it for hours and hours and something different is happening every time they're playing and they just kind of using it as like a hangout with their chat. But it is a game where the streamers are going to get big reactions, similar to a horror game where you're playing it and you can't wait for the streamer to get to a joke you like or a scary part you like. We're aware. It's just part of it. We do the influencer circuit. We let people know that we'd love for them to play the game. I think that's just how the business works. Yeah.
No, I think the landscape has changed, right? Ever since Twitch and the integration of live streaming as a whole, and then you talk about TikTok taking off and the exposure that gets. It's hard to. How do you ignore that? You got to be as many places as possible, especially when you talk about being independent. You only hinder yourself, I think, to hold it back. So I think it makes total sense to kind of keep your eye on it and put your ear to the ground and listen to what people are playing and what they can do to kind of focus on picking you up. But too, right? Like let's look at Among Us. That game was there for 2 years, and all of a sudden then it exploded.
It's crazy. It happens when one particularly well-watched streamer decides to give it a shot. I mean, like, a lot of old horror games, a lot of indie horror games, like, just made their splash because some streamer played them and had one clip of them screaming go viral. That's sometimes all it takes. And I wish it was easier for some good games to get like that exposure, but it's nice that there's this avenue now. I don't think there's any negative to it because it's just, hey, here's an extra way to get eyes in front of your game. And if it didn't exist, it's not like it's. I mean, I think if you're building your entire game around hoping a streamer plays it, maybe you have a problem. But now it's just an option. Yeah.
Very cool, Alec. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people follow you?
I'm online. I'm on. You can find me on Twitter or Blue Sky or Instagram at Alec Robbins. I think on Instagram it's Alec S Robbins because some fucking other kid with my name took it. He was some
Gonna hunt you
child.
down.
I know. No, it is fine. I think at one point we did like message each other, and he was very like, "Haha, I have it, you don't." But that's fine because there's also a race car driver named Alec Robbins, and I have AlecRobbins.com, and he has to have AlecRobinsRacing.com. So
Yeah, it goes back.
I know. I did this comic about me being married to Betty Boop, and it's very like absurd and very like it's a little sexually explicit even. So for a while, I was like, oh, I bet that guy's so mad at me. If you search his name, you're gonna find this guy drawing like porn of himself with Betty Boop. Oh, he's seething. But yeah, anyway, you can find me there. You can read my comic, Mr. Boop, my other comic, Crime Hot, and play High on Life too.
Absolutely, don't miss it. It is almost everywhere. It'll be everywhere in April, coming over the Switch too. That'll wrap it all up together for you. It'll be awesome. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. As always, I'm Drew. That's Michael, and this has been Theory Unlocked. We'll see you next week.